Okay. So as part of our yesterday's session, we completed that auto-generated values. So how we are auto-generating values for the columns, or else whenever we defined a table for auto-generated columns, like especially identity columns, are making sure column is associated to any sequence. So whatever we are doing, so how we are going to map those things as part of our JPA, or if you want to make sure sometimes values automatically generated by JPA from the JPA side. So how you have to do what you have to do. So we taken by taking the generated value annotation. So we discussed 5 strategies, and as part of 5 strategies, we discussed all the details like auto identity sequence table, as well as the latest one called as UUID also. So what is UUID? That is also we take an example. And after that, I discussed whenever we want to give our own sequence names, our own, okay, so instead of default sequence name taken by the JPA, if you want to give a specific sequence name, then we have to take help of sequence generator annotation help. There you will configure what is the sequence name, what is the sequence you want to use for the values generation for a column of entity. That all we will use sequence generator. Similarly, we will use for, in case if you want to maintain a table for the auto generated values or for a unique values maintenance, then you will use table generator annotation, so that you will give what table name, what table you are maintaining, what is the initial value, what is the, okay, column names for that table identifier, identity table point of view. So I said, right, so one more thing is, I said, you out of all this discussion, the most important thing is sequence point of view. So you have to know more about sequence. Second thing is, nowadays getting popularity related to UUID thing also, UUID data also. So if you are having a time, if you have a chance to look into UUID, I given you overview also yesterday how UUID looks like, how it will work, and how much important nowadays it is. And so just have a look on that, explore the knowledge about UUID. Okay. So today the new concept is all about JPA relationships and mappings. So JPA entity relationships or entity mappings, people used to call it as, we have to call it as entity relationships or entity mappings. Anything is fine. So what is a relationship or what is a mapping here? Let's try to understand here. First of all, just take a small discussion about what is the relationship with respect to day-to-day DB database point of view, and then we'll come back to JPA perspective. Okay, so here, especially when you're working for real-time applications, what we will used to do is, we will create many tables. N number of tables we'll create. For a software application, when you are implementing a software application, we will create N number of tables. So that means more than 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 also sometimes we'll create the tables. Fine. So, and out of all these tables, sometimes what we are going to do is, I think you know, in SQL perspective, so when it comes to SQL language or SQL database point of view, first we have to understand all about database, because JPA is what? JPA is a solution to make database operations. Nothing but JPA built on top of DB functionalities. It's not something like JPA derived something newly and based on that all databases got implemented. No, based on the database functionalities, JPA framework is implemented. So that means to simplify the DB operations, DB functionalities as a programming point of view, Java point of view, JPA coming into the picture. So that's why let's understand with respect to DB point of view, what is the relationship, what is the mapping and all first. Then same thing, how we are achieving where JPA is all about JPA entity relationships and mappings. So in a point of relationship, here it is, our mapping with respect to SQL or database point of view, what it is. So you here I think foreign key relationship. Foreign key relationship. So what is the meaning of foreign key relationship? So you know that, right? For example, you have a two tables and you will make a relationship between two tables. with respect to foreign key relationship point of view, what you used to do is you have table 1 and you have table 2. Table 2. And the moment you are having table 1 and table 2 point of view, with respect to foreign key, what is the thing usually we will follow is you will maintain some columns for every, I mean, generally you will have columns of the tables. Okay. So here, yeah. So assume in this case, this is the column you are having. So what? Column number 1. And this is the primary key column for this table. And this table will have a primary key column generally. Now, what is the foreign key relationship? Generally, what you will maintain is, for example, you have a primary key column values like this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., 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 and some information like Dilip, city name, all the columns you can expect like ID, employee name, employee salary, employee city, something like that, gender, whatever it is. Similarly, here some other table called as address table or whatever it is. So I will take like address ID and all other details like pin code, your city, your country, something like that. Now, what is the foreign key relationship in this case is when you want to make sure in the table 2 level, when in the table 2 level, for example, I have a column 2 here and I made this column 2 as a foreign key point of view. For example, what I'm trying to do in this case is when you maintain a relationship between these two tables with respect to foreign key. See, it's all SQL, guys. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not going to decode you again with respect to SQL. So the knowledge how much you are asking as you are having SQL, that will you will understand in the JPA relation entity mappings. If you don't have knowledge of foreign key, then there is no point of listening mappings also. So it's all about SQL knowledge. First you should have SQL knowledge, then only you can understand JPA. Now what point of foreign key is, for example, I make a entry like this 100 and some information. So I made one some information like Hyderabad pin code, whatever it is, something like that. And 101, 2, something, some other information. 102, 10 I given. So with respect to foreign key point of view, what will happen here it is the okay the right hand side table, the opposite table is foreign key point of view. Generally, it is always associated to the primary key column of the first table, primary key column of this table. So in this case, whenever you are making entry into table 2 level, whenever you are inserting a record, what will happen in this case is it will verify this value presented in the source table or not. For example, if I'm calling it as source, if I'm calling it as a target table, okay, or side, something like that. So whenever you are making a entry, a value of foreign key column in the table 2, it should present must and should in the associated source table, which are wherever it is having relationship. Okay, table 1 is having relationship with table 2, right? So then what is the point of foreign key here? It is the moment you are inserting one value with respect to foreign key column in the table 2, it is having a relationship, it is having a connectivity to primary key column of the source table. So if 1 is available, yes, it is a valid entry. If 2 is available, it is a valid entry. If 3 is available, okay, now you are trying to insert to 10. Assume 10 is not there. 10 is not there. Only 5 values you are having up to here. Fine. Now you are inserting 10. What? This 10 is available in this table or not? It is verifying. It is verifying this table is available or not. So in this case, 10 is not available. So that means in this case, the 10 value is not available. Why? Yes. I mean, some reason it is table in 10 is not available. So then based on the foreign key relationship, this record will not be inserted. This record should not be inserted. That means what you are trying to say here it is, in case if you consider again this as a parent and child point of view also. So when you are making entry in the child table, okay, the parent reference must and should be presented. Parent reference must and should be presented. So that's why until, see, for example, you are having whatever the values you are having, one of the values should be presented here. For example, if I given 2 here again this will be inserted. Why? 2 is existed. If I given 3, inserted. If I given 4, inserted. If I given 5, inserted. If I given a value which is not available as part of this column values, then that entry should not be made. That means you have to make sure an error should come like parent reference not found. Like that, you should get an exception. For example, if you take a generic example from that explanation, for example, assume you have a concept called as employee concept, and you have a assume you are building a application, and as part of that application you are collecting all employees information, and every employee is going to have address information. Every employee is going to have address information. So the moment you are, and your requirement is demand, your requirement is finalized like this. The requirement is like capture one address for an employee. Capture address of an employee. How many employees means only one address. Whether it is a, whether he is giving permanent address or temporary, doesn't matter. Only one address you want to store in your application level. You don't want multiple addresses. But that one address must and should be captured. This is what the requirement I given you, and you have to implement this into a software application point of view. Then what we used to do? Okay, so now in this case, generally what people used to do is people will segregate the things into small chunks or small requirements point of view, and people will create multiple tables, and they will make a relationship in between multiple tables. For example, here there are two solutions available. So what it is, for example, now I made a solution like this. What I said is, whenever you are inserting employee information you are submitting for the first time, name, first name, last name, gender, whatever it is, for the first time. So I said like employee ID column. So employee ID column and employee name, and followed by employee salary and employee department, something like that, etc., etc. You can take like gender, whatever it is, city, gender, I mean all these details, basic information of an employee. Now I want to capture address also. Generally, address point of view, I said, employee point of view, I said these 5 values you have to capture. Address point of view, I said every information I need, like line one, so landmark. So if any landmark, and as well as their district and their city and their what state and their country. So country as well as pin code. So like that, I want to capture 7 to 8 details in this case. So line number one, line number two, landmark name, district, what is the district, what is the city, what is the state, what is the country, what is the pin code. I want all the details. So in this case, I will create a table called as address table again based on all these columns. And I will create a table like, so this is employee table and this is address table. Now, the moment you are maintaining all the columns like, okay, line one, landmark, and it's all about what is the district, and then city, and then state, and then country, and then pin code, like that you are created a table. Fine, that's fine. Okay, cool. Now let's come to the data point of view. Assume you have to think whether it is a valid scenario or not. Now I have first employee joined into my organization, so I'm entering his details from the front end. Finally, the data is inserted into TB level like this. So the employee is Dilip, and his salary is something like, okay, that's something like 3 lakhs per annum, something whatever it is. department, whatever it is, development or whatever it is, gender point of view, I entered as male, something like that. And the moment I entered here, okay, so I want to capture Dilip address details also. He entered all the details, but you are capturing those details into another table, into a new table. So that means what you are going to do in this case, for example, he entered all the details, like he entered like something like staying in so and so area like Kukatpalli or whatever it is, and landmark something like near something like so and so junction, okay, and for something like so and so district and so and so city Hyderabad and so and so state and so and so country and so and so pin code, something like that. I given the values. Now in this case, how I am going to make sure a relationship like this address belongs to Dilip only. This address belongs to Dilip. How can I make sure that? How can I identify this address belongs to Dilip? Because it's not about only one employee. 1,000 employees, 2,000 employees information you are going to maintain. So that means in this employee and address table point of view, so how you are going to maintain a relationship like the moment whenever I want Dilip address, so going further, what I will happen? I'll give employee ID. Employee ID is a unique ID. In entire organization, employee names may match, but employee IDs will never match, right? So that's why employee ID is a unique point of. So that means the moment if I entered employee ID 1, I want to get all Dilip information, nothing but Dilip personal details as well as address details. But how can I make sure this data? Now, for example, one more employee joined. One more employee joined here, something like I'll take two, and some other person ABC joined, and so on so salary, and so on so okay, the department, and so on so like female point of view, whatever it is. Now she entered her data also, from where she belongs to and everything. She entered all her details, something like whatever it is, Bangalore point of view, whatever it is. So I don't know exactly. So something like Bangalore, whatever it is, city, Bangalore, Karnataka, and India, and something like so and so pin code, whatever it is. Now, how do I know that this address belongs to so and so ABC person or Dilip, or is it belongs to so and so ABC or Dilip? So there is no relationship, right? So that's why what we used to do in general is people used to maintain some kind of foreign key relationships point of view. What people used to do is in a better database design point of view. See, it's not a Java, it's not a Python, it's not a .NET. It's all about database design. So now what we used to do is we will make sure some column being added here. I will make one column as address ID and I will make one more column as employee ID. So what will happen in this case is you know that as part of JPA, every table should contain an identifier column. So based on that, I'll keep on make sure like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll make address IDs, something like that. That is okay. But my point here it is, see this employee IDs I can take, I don't want to confuse you. That's why I'll take some different employee IDs. I'll take employee ID starting from 555 something, whatever it is. And this employee ID is something like 888 or whatever it is. Okay. So these are all employee IDs. So employee IDs and it is a primary key column. Employee ID is a primary key column in this table. Okay. So now my point is, see now I'm making a relationship something like foreign key relationship point of view. So this table is making relationship with the employees table is making relationship with address relationship like. Okay. So now I entered here 555. So the moment I'm inserting data into address table in the employee ID column level, what I given 555. Similarly, with respect to this address against to this address, yeah. So against to this address, I given 888. Now It's very easy to identify which address belongs to which employee. Now I entered employee ID triple eight. So employee ID, I given employee ID triple eight, and I am asking all the employee details. So then what you will make? So if you entered triple eight point of view, so you will get all the employee information, first name, last name, gender, salary, and everything, as well as you can easily identify you can easily identify this employee address also. This employee address also. So we are made a relationship like that. We have to make a relationship like this. What is the advantage this is? For example, now I'm entering one more entry in the address table with this ID called as 999 and something like some other belongs to so and so location, whatever it is. I'm not taking out. Now, in this case, is it a valid entry or not? Is it a valid entry means? Is it a valid entry means? Valid entry or not? So, how come it is a valid entry? It's not a valid entry. So, if you maintain foreign key relationship, that's what I said. Foreign key relationship point of view, what it will do? The moment you are inserting some data here, only this column value, guys, it will verify in this primary key column point of view that that value is existed or not. So when you are making triple five, it's existed. That means employee is existed. That's why you added employee address. Now the moment you are making triple eight entry, yes, with that employee ID already some person is there. That's why you are adding the employee. Now by mistake, some reason in the address table level, you entered employee ID as triple nine and you entered some Chennai, all this information. Now, is it a valid entry or not? No, it's not a valid entry. Why? There is no employee with triple nine. Then how come employee address comes? So if you don't have a foreign key relationship, okay, then what will happen is this kind of mistakes will happen, this kind of inconsistency will happen because it's address table is an individual table, employee table is a individual table. So if you are making triple nine Chennai point of view, yes, it will accept address table will accept that record and it will allow you to insert that record. But if you observe the data inconsistency problem point of view, there is no employee with triple nine. Then how come you got address details? There is no employee ID triple nine, but how you allowed it triple nine? There is no employee first of all with triple nine ID. But then how you allowed triple nine value and as well as address value? It's a invalid, right? That's why in SQL point of view, what we used to do, we used to maintain a foreign key relationship point of view. So the moment you made a foreign key relationship point of view, what DB will do internally is with respect to employee and address table point of view, parent and child, source and target point of view, side A, side B point of view. So this table is maintaining foreign key relationship with this table, right? So it's all about foreign key. That's what foreign means in between two entities point of. So I don't know. Let's see here. Foreign key in SQL. A foreign key constraint is to prevent actions that would destroy links between the tables. That's what you are making a linking between tables like this person ID, last ID, age, and order ID, person ID. So that is what I said, right? So person table, order table. They are also maintaining some kind of this one. So it's all about comes under the foreign key point of view. That's how you will create the foreign key constraint and you will make all these things. So that what is the advantage of this one is that's what the moment you made a foreign key relationship in between these two tables, if you are entering triple line record for this column, it will verify immediately. First of all, this triple line is available in the this column level employee table or not. It's not there. Then immediately SQL throw an exception like, hey man, you don't have a triple line value as part of employee ID column in the your parent table or your associated relationship table point of view. There is no employee. Then how will you add like that? You will get an error now. So that means now the moment you are inserting this value, you will get an error. So you are going to get an error. So now it looks like a consistency or not. Yes, 100% is data consistency. Because when employee is available with that ID, then only you are able to add the address value. If there is no employee with that ID, then how will you add an employee address? It's not a meaningful, right? So if you don't have a foreign key relationship, then that data inconsistency will happen. So because you're making individual uh, entries as part of address table and you are allowing employee ID whatever you want, but even though it is not existed. But if you made a foreign key relationship, so such a way whatever you saw right now, it the moment you are inserting into your child table, so what will happen? It will verify always in the associated relationship level this this value existed or not. If value existed, then only it will allowed. Now for example, so now I entered a value called as, now a new employee joined. For example, a new employee joined with the ID called as 444, so and so XYZ person, whatever it is, etc. etc. Now, after that, after some point of time, I made a insert operation on this table and I'm trying to put data like this. Yes, now this is allowed. Why? 444 record 444 with 444 employee ID, there is already an employee existed in the main table. In the main employee table level, yes, already employees existed. So when employee existed means definitely address is existed like that. So if you maintain foreign key relationship, this is all you can achieve. The data integrity consistency in between tables point of view. This is how in real-time applications we will make every time relationship between the tables, guys. So people will create always, I told you right, people will always write SQL scripts. So that is how people will create the tables based on the requirement point of view. People will sit and people will do some analysis, and based on the analysis, they will come up with what are the columns we have to take, what are the columns we have to make primary key columns, what are the columns we have to maintain as the foreign key, not null columns, unique constraints. So these are all things will comes as part of the discussion when you join into any application and when you are creating from the scratch. Okay, so that means these are all discussion will come. Then they will create tables like this. Like this, they will create the tables. And based on these tables, now what will happen? You will create the entity classes. So you will write your entity classes. You will write your entity classes. So if you created, see here, create orders table, references persons table point of view, you are referring the person ID. So that means if you go to the table persons table point of view, person ID is the foreign key with respect to order table. Order table. So like that, you will maintain the foreign key relationship. So I think you can see here. I think I don't know. These guys are not done any DB operations. Simple. That's what. The moment 1, 2, 3 is available. So if you are trying to add fourth person ID, person ID, and making a new order entry, it will not allow because that person ID must and should available in the person table point of view like that. So same thing what we discussed right now also. Okay. So this is all comes under the foreign key. This is all comes under the relationship point of view. Now same thing applicable with respect to different scenarios, different relationships. Now, in this case, I said what your requirement is one employee is going to have only one address as part of this application. Okay, fine. Now, tomorrow you are working for another project or maybe some other scenario point of view. Okay, you want to, yeah, I can take this person ID and orders table only. See, yeah, I'll take different scenario. So here the requirement is, understand the point again from the previous explanation. One employee capturing one address. So that means this is a requirement. Now assume in this case, I am trying to make sure, I'm trying to make sure an entry like this, 555, okay, something I'm trying to make sure a record like this, uh, something, some other data, whatever you can imagine. So India pin code, whatever it is, it doesn't matter of other columns. Concentration is on all on this column. Now my based on my requirement point of view, is it a valid or not? So what is my requirement very clearly? One employee, one address I have to maintain. I don't want I don't want to allow more than one address for an employee. So now in this case, as per the first rule, First of all, employee ID 555 is existed means existed. So that means that condition is satisfied. In the parent table level, in the reference table level, 555 is existed. So that means employee point of view, valid employee only. But when it comes to the address table point of view, you should not allow one more entry. Already 555 point of view, one entry is already available. You should not allow one more entry for 555. You should not allow one more entry for the 555 ID. So that means one employee, one address, you have to make a relationship like this. So these things will be called as one-to-one relationship. So in between this table, what is the relationship I am expecting to do? So to achieve this requirement strictly, you have to maintain a relationship called as one-to-one relationship. So what is the point of one-to-one relationship in this case? In the source table level, in the parent table level, one employee is existed means in the associated relationship table in the left hand side, right hand side. So left hand side table comes under the main table, right hand side table comes under the relationship table, right? So in the left hand side table point of view, whatever the employee ID existed, for that associated employee ID with respect to that foreign key column, with respect to that foreign key column, only one entry should be allowed. Only one entry should be allowed. So that means you have to make sure you have to achieve. This is called as one-to-one relationship. This is called as one-to-one relationship. Now, generally, with respect to JPA entity relationship or entity mappings or SQL point of view also, not only leave about JPA, that's what I said. It's a topic, generic topic related to SQL tables design, DB tables design or SQL design with respect to .NET, Python, everywhere this is common story. So total you have four types of relationships, that is one-to-one relationship. That means I'll tell you on a high level point of view what is one-to-one, what is uh, what one to these are all first let's list down and then we will see what is one-to-one, what to one to many, all these things. One-to-one, total four types of relationships we have. One is two, three, and four. Yeah. So one-to-one, one-to-many, one-to-many, and opposite, many to one, then many to many. N means more than one. That's what many. So then many to one means many to many. So you have one to one, many to many, one to many, many to one. Like that. Total four relationships you will have generally in this design. Now my first requirement is very strictly saying like one employee should contain only one address object in the address table level. So if you are achieving, if you are making that foreign key relationship with respect to one-to-one relationship point of view, the moment you are trying to add second entry, the moment you are trying to add second entry, immediately see employee ID point. See earlier scenario, I discuss a different scenario. What invalid employee ID. So if you given something like 1000 here employee ID, then 1000 point of view employee is not existed. To add even one object also, one entry, one address also, first of all employee itself not there with 1000 ID, so that's why invalid employee ID. So then you will get an error, you will get some error like it will not allow you to insert that 1000 record with 1000 record whatever the data you are giving, it is not allowed because employee 1000 is not existed. Like that you will get an error. And as well as one more, okay, compilation, one more thing what you have to take constraint here, it should allow only one, even though valid employee like 555 point of view, I will allow only one address object, one entry, one record at a time, not more than one record. So if I'm trying to make second record with 555, okay, then again I have to make sure as an invalid operation. So this strict relationship is called as one-to-one relationship. So that means your source and target your parent child point of view, the relationship point of view, one record should be associated, one more, okay, in the target table point of view, only one associated record should be presented. Only one associated record should be presented. Then if that means if you want to achieve this requirement strictly, then you have to maintain one to one relationship in between these tables. You have to maintain one to one relationship in these tables. So if you are achieving one to one relationship in this table, even though if you are trying to keep second record, then you will get compiled, then you will get error. That is what the meaning of one to one. Now second scenario. Now one more application you are implementing, you are working for one more project or different scenario. Now my application is, I said, okay, for employee, capture employee details only, but I said capture address information also. But my point is, for example, assume you are working for a good, I mean, it's a kind of some government software application or very some crucial information. I mean, a important application or whatever. Now this guy, now as part of this application, I want to capture, I want to capture more than one address. So that means sometimes you observed or not. Definitely they will ask your current address mandatorily as well as your present address. And if you observe some of the website, they will ask, do you have any other addresses also, like that they will ask one more address also. So that means simply what happened, more than one. In this case, I want to capture must and should current and current address as well as present address. Even though current and address and present address both are same, but I want to make sure current address and present address records as a two individual addresses. Customer will enter only same information, but in the DB table level, I will maintain current address, present address for that employee. Tomorrow, because the employee may move to another city, then his current address will change, right? So that's why I want to make two entries. Now I have two addresses. Current address is Hyderabad, permanent address is so and so, like that. Or sorry, current, sorry, permanent, not present, permanent. Current and present both are same, right? Sorry. I mean, terminology point of view, permanent. Okay, so like that, what's happening in this case? Same scenario if I taken again, if I taken same scenario again one more time. Okay, so you know that how many employees existed in this case? Only one employee is existed. See, theory I am discussing you guys. Practical point of view, immediately once you are done all this theory, we can start writing practical in the JPA one by one quickly. One to many, many to one, all these things. Programmatical point of view, I will move quickly. So theory is important more in this case also. So now in this scenario, what's happening? What is your requirement? More than one record. So that means one employee, but more than one address. Employee information, address information, but employee will be only one employee, but you have more than one information. So that means what kind of relationship you have to maintain in this case is n relationship. So one to n relationship, nothing but one to many. So what is the point of one to many again in this case? Understand the point. Okay, so what is the point in this case is again foreign key relationship point of view only. So as per one to many relationship, employee 555, yes, I can allow. Okay, that is okay. First record. 888 existed. Okay, good. Allow. 444 existed. Okay, allow. Again 555 record. So that means yes, I can allow. So I will allow. Why? N many many. So in this case, only one employee point of view. Foreign key, primary key point of view, only one employee ID. So in this case, this is a primary key column. If it is a primary key column means you know that definitely it is a what? Only one value existed in that table. And for that one value, for that one employee record point of view, now how many records you have? One is one and as well as two. And if you have another also, third more, one more, yes, you can have. So that means one to many relationship, one to many. But in earlier case, what happened with respect to this employee or any employee? What happened? Only one to one relationship. If you are trying to add one more also, if you are trying to add one more also, you are going to get an error because you are making that relationship strictly as one to one. So if you are not making one to one, what will happen? Your requirement is broken, your requirement is not satisfying. So that's why one to one, if you made one to one, then your requirement is satisfied. In this case, my requirement is I want to maintain more than one. So definitely I want to allow one more address for 555 also, one more address for 444 also. Now in this case, for example, I am trying to add again a record called as 1000 point of view, and he entering all the information of 1000, something like whatever it is, something like that. I entered the data. So now this record should not be allowed. Why? This should not be allowed. Why? The reason is you don't have a employee ID of called as 1000. 1000 is not existed in the employee table. 1000 is not existed in this column. So not existed. So that's why you should not allow that record. That means as a foreign key relationship point of view, that column value should be presented in the employee column, employee table level. So if not presented, don't insert any record. If presented, insert, as well as you can add this time more number of records, more number of records. So this relationship, I'm going to call it as a one to many relationship. So now this entire thing will be called as one to many relationship. So one to many, one to many relationship, one to many relationship you are having. So that means depends on your requirement point of view. Sometimes you have to maintain one, one to many to one. Okay, and many to many also you have to maintain. So what I will do is I'll start discussion with respect to one and one to many. First, we will take examples of JPA programming. Once you are done with these two, just like opposite vice versa to these two relationships comes under like many to one and many to many point of view. Those two we will discuss again separately after completing these two. So now let's start making this kind of functionality implementation as part of the JPA. So now by using JPA, how I'm going to achieve these relationships? So is it possible? JPA framework, JPA specification is okay supporting this kind of relationships or not means yes, JPA is supporting. That's what comes under the relationship entity point of view here and all. Okay, so now you can understand one to one means I can give a high level statement point of view. For example, you can take like A B tables. Okay, in a generic point of view, A B table like that I can take. So what I can say is associated to A table in B, only one record is allowed. That means primary key, foreign key point of view, I'm writing this statement. So that means A means this one. So my relationship point of view, A equal, I mean, this is the relationship. A table and B table point of view. Associated to A table, in the B table, only one record is allowed. Allowed. That is what the point of one to one relationship. Now, okay, so associated to A table in B, many records allowed, more than one. Many means more than. Okay, many records are allowed. Now, opposite to that, okay, so see here. Now, n to 1. N to 1 means many to 1. So that means associated to a table, okay, have more than one record, and in B only one record is allowed. I will take one example. That's why I said first we will discuss these two with respect to programming point of view, then we'll come back here. So this associated to A table. So that means this time A table will have many records, but in the opposite table, B table point of view, for all those, okay, and in B only one record allowed for all respective A records. For all respective A records. Okay, so that means A table is having many records, and for all those records, only one record is allowed. For to represent along with all those records as a relationship point of view, B level, only one record is allowed. Now, if I am tweaking same point with respect to this one, associated to A table have more than one record, and in B also have many records. Many records. Records means one, the DB table records. That's what. Allowed for all respective A records. Okay, sorry, I already have that statement word. For all A records. Okay, so this is all comes under the many to many relationship point of view. So first we will take these two we understood with examples also, like one employee, one address, one employee, more than one address, like that. Okay. So I think you can take so many examples, guys. When you are practicing, you don't need to take this one only. For example, in a real-time point of view, you can take Swiggy. So assume Swiggy point of view, what is the relationships you can observe? You know that your user ID is your mobile number, right? So your user ID is your mobile number. So the moment you are having your user ID as mobile number with the same user ID, unique ID. So that means with your mobile ID, you have only one in the Swiggy level. Only one user existed with your mobile number. That is you only, right? Now assume they maintained user ID, mobile number into user table and orders table. They have one more table called as order table. Now, how many orders you will maintain? You will place generally. You will make whenever you feel hungry and whenever you want to order food online, you will make Swiggy and you are making it. So that means as a single user point of view, the moment whenever you are placing an order, so you will get every time unique order ID, right? We discussed at that point yesterday also. So assume this is the order ID getting generated every time. Like this, unique order IDs are got generated, right? So now these are all order IDs are associated to your mobile number. These are all order IDs are associated to your mobile number. So now this, what kind of relationship? One to many relationship. So one user is having many orders. One user is having many orders, like that. So one to one point of view also, one employee, one address. Any guess? Do you think any government related things? right, in India point of view, I think even some other countries also, for example, if you take in India, per person how many PAN cards allowed? One person, one PAN card. One person, one Aadhaar, right? And one person, one passport. At a time, you can maintain only one PAN, one Aadhaar, one passport as a legal point of view. I'm just talking about. So this is all comes under what? One-to-one relationship. One-to-one relation. For example, that's what you see. Indian government will pass a rule like you have to link your PAN card with Aadhaar card, something like that, right? So why they used to say PAN card with Aadhaar card point of view? Why they used to pass those rules means, see in their Aadhaar application. Yeah, so in that software of Aadhaar application, what they will do, the moment you entered your PAN card number, something like ABC123XYJ, okay, so they will maintain your Aadhaar number, whatever you entered, right? So they will make a relationship like this going further. Tomorrow, with respect to, okay, same Aadhaar number, if any other PAN card is trying to be entered based on the same Aadhaar number, what will happen? It will not accept. So it will say like already something is existed, something like that. Or it will try to make sure overriding. It will try to make sure override. But at the end, what is the result? Only one is available. So that means in such cases, what you are going to maintain one-to-one relationship point of view. One Aadhaar card is having, okay, so something I can switch. So one Aadhaar is allowing always at a time only one PAN card number, something like that, but not more than that. If you maintain one-to-one relationship in that software of Aadhaar application, when you are trying to add second PAN card for the same Aadhaar number, see in this case the Aadhaar is a unique ID. Again, you know that every person is having a unique Aadhaar ID. In India, no any of our Aadhaar IDs Aadhaar numbers will never match. Like right, so something like in US also we have something I SSN IDs or something will be there. So like that, different countries, different names, but concept is same. So like that. So that means you are not allowing second entry. Even though that person got updated his PAN card details, some reason, maybe he got a new PAN or maybe he updated whatever it is, his PAN number is updated. What you are trying to allow him, you are not allowing him to add one more record. Maybe you will allow him update the existing itself. But ultimately the result is what? You are making only one record is existed at a time. One record existed at a time. So one to one relationship point of view, one to many relationships, like many to one relationship point of view also, many to many also, you can understand. I think in our human lives also we have same kind of relationships like one to one, one to many, college life, one to many. So it's all just for fun. So just that's all. Think always that's what in a bigger perspective. I used to say like this kind of examples you have to come in into your mind. So, like one person, one PAN, one person, one Aadhaar, when you are linking, that's what. Why they are asking us to link your PAN and PAN with Aadhaar means tomorrow you can't, I can trace easily. One, this by using this person, this Aadhaar. So they are not allowing more than one also. So you can't allow like that. So some kind of tracing, some kind of things and all, they will make sure. Like one person, one passport, like that. Now, you know that, right? How many SIM cards you can take on one Aadhaar card, one Aadhaar number. You know that nowadays every mobile number is also linked with multiple mobile numbers in India, right? So that means with respect to one person, I think India government is allowing more than one SIM cards, more than one mobile number. So that means N SIM numbers. I mean mobile numbers, nothing but SIM cards means mobile numbers. N mobile numbers. So even that with respect to one person, you have only one Aadhaar card. That is what main important, right? So that means one Aadhaar card is having relationship with multiple mobile numbers. Yes, in India you can do that. You can take more than two, three mobile numbers on same Aadhaar. Some limitation they given, but more than one simply. So now it's all about one to many relationship. One to many relationship like that. So like that you have to think always with respect to one to many, one to many to one to one, all these things point of view. But anyway, we will see first a small program with respect to JPA point of view, how we are achieving all these relationships, and then we will go for next two also. First, at least we will complete one today. If anything is pending, we will discuss on Monday also. But theory is more important. I discussed more theory today, and it's all about now making the coding, and very important also. Okay, let me take a new Spring Starter project. One to one mapping I'll take first. JPA, Oracle driver, Lombok. Okay, so first requirement only I'll take. Let me save it first. Okay, so first I'll take how strictly I'm going to allow only one employee point of view, one object we would like to insert. Even if you are trying to insert more than one also, you should not be allowed something like that. We'll take a relation. We will try to achieve it. Then we'll go for one to many point of view. If you're understanding one example with respect to one relationship, small changes will happen with other relationships, but most of the concept is same. Yeah, so this is where, right? So let's add database properties. I'll take from here. Spring dot JPA Hibernate DDL auto. I'll take something like update. Create I will take. So the tables I'm going to create employee and address tables I'll create manually. I mean by using JPA. But if you want to make sure same kind of thing, you have to create. That's what I told you. So you have to create employee, for example, that employee and address point of view, or person and orders table point. You have to create tables like this first. You have to create a person table, and then you have to create order table, and you have to refer that person table with person ID column, references, foreign key point of view. You have to create table like this first, and then based on that you have to write down JPA entity classes. But what I am doing right now is I'm making sure like I'm creating tables also directly from JPA, but you don't do that for when you are practicing. Okay, now in this case I said two tables, right? So two tables we have to maintain, right? Generally, relationship between two tables means two entity classes you'll get. And first thing is, I said employee should have a address reference point of view. Employee should have a address reference in this case. So let's make basic entity classes creation, and then we'll see what are the columns and how to achieve this relationship. Okay, entity. And first I take an address. Then I'll take like private. Yeah, I can take data. I can take nodes constructor. I'll take all logs constructor. Private integer. Address ID. So I'll make this as a identifier column, and I'll make generated value I will use. So I'll make sure this column values also automatically generated, and I'll take strategy generation type dot. I'll take identity strategy, whatever it is. So it's not matter for us. So my table point of view, what I said, order ID is a value, unique value you have to generate point of view. But foreign key is this one. This column I'm talking about foreign key. How to achieve it and all, we'll see that. First, let's make basic entities and all. String, city, private. I'm not taking much details. You can add more details. Like I will take only basic city and country. That's all. Okay. So rest of the columns, maybe if you want to add anything else, you can add. No problem. Okay. So this is address table. Let's create a employee table also. We are not made any relationship as of now. First, let's create a basic entities and then we'll see how to make relationship. So now this is also I'm going to make as an entity class. And what are the table names available? Let me verify first of all. I can give my own table names. Department, we don't have any table names with address. That's okay. But I have employee, right? Can I drop employee table? No, I want it. Okay, I'll give my own table name. Nothing. Then based on that, it will create the table. Table and followed by name equal to. I'll give like employee uh, detail, something like that. Employee emp underscore detail is the table name. Okay, fine. So and address table also, I think I'll give my own table name. See, if you are not given, it will take last name as the table name. That you know that address detail, something like that. And employee private. So here I will take a private integer. Employee ID. The at the rate identifier column. So if you want, you can take generated values for this also. I'll take something like generated value. Strategy, I can take any strategy, it's up to your choice. Generated generation type dot mm, sequence and generator equal to e employee ID sequence. I'm just utilizing yesterday's discussion also. That's all. So you have to do same thing when you are practicing. Please involve older things. So I'll make sure name whatever I given here that should be the name. And even if I want to create sequence name also with same thing, I can use same thing. And then it has to start incremented value, initial value from, oh, I want to start my employee IDs from 1000 onwards. So then, and yeah, allocation size and all, automatically it will take, leave it, but initial value is 1000 something, whatever it is. Okay, so now let's take private string employee name and private string gender. Yeah, so I'm not taking my other columns. You can imagine what and all happens like that. So here I'll add at the rate data, at the rate no aux constructor, at the rate all aux constructor. So this is all, you know that, right? So it's all Lombok. So we discussed Lombok also. Okay, cool. Now my entity classes are ready. Let's write the repositories. I'm not done any relationship. We will discuss. First, let's create a basic things. So far, what we know. Okay, so extends JPA repository and followed by address is the entity class, and as part of address you given I think integer. Yeah, integer only, fine. Even if I want, I can take long here, employee ID point of view. Yeah, so one more repository, two entity classes. That's why I'm creating two repositories. Employee repository. So extends JPA repository, and then employee is the table entity name, and internally you given long identifier. So that's okay. Oh, sorry, here I have to give sequence. Okay, cool. So with this, we have just made a basic two tables, individual tables, but as of now, we are not mentioned any relationship between the two tables. So how to mention it and all, we will see now, right? So now what is our assumption? We have to maintain somehow one employee should have always only one address entry, not more than that. And the moment I made in employee object got inserted, so that means in this case again the point is whenever I am inserting employee information on a single click, so this employee name, salary things should go into employee table, all address information should go into address table. So I'll give all the details at a time. Like for example, I'll give my employee information like this. When I'm calling this storing my data, so what I used to do is in this case, I'll give my details, Dilip, salary, something salary, and I'll give department, and then I'll give. See, in that's what in your application forms also when you are filling some forms, they will ask all the details at a time, right? You will enter your first name, your father name, your mother name, and everything, your address information. Like you will give where you are staying and where what is your city and what is your pin code number, everything you will give, right? And at the end, what you will do, you will click on submit button. You will click on submit button. So on a single click of submit, what is happening means that's what internally they are maintaining multiple tables. So that means as a front end point of view, as a customer point of view, you will click on, you will enter all your information and you will click on submit. The moment you enter submit, all this information will go to the backend from front end to backend, and this information is stored inside this table, and this information is going to store inside this table. Like that, you have to write your own logic, all this point of view, to maintain this relationship point of view. Okay, sorry, here one-to-one relationship I'll take. Yeah, so this is the relationship, right? So now how to do this kind of relationship, what to do and all. So in this case, JPA given an annotation called as one to one at the rate one to one annotation. So with respect to JPA point of view, so you have to take an help of a new annotation called as one to one annotation. One to one annotation. Sorry, one to one. Okay. And please make sure here you are making relationship like this. Employee is the main table in this case. Employee is the main table. And employee is the main table, and a new table called as address table is maintaining relationship with employee table. So that means what is the point you have to remember, guys? When employee exists, then only address should be added. So that means in this case, the main table will become employee master table. So based on that only address should behave. So if employee record is not there, then address should not be existed. If employee is existed, then address. So that means in this case, main table is employee table. In the relationship, in this relationship, the most important main relationship, I mean the main table here, it is employee table. Okay, address is the table maintaining relation with employee. So, but the main table is employee in this case. Okay, fine. So that means you have to maintain a relationship. So you have to maintain a relationship with respect to employee and address. So such a way, like the moment you are passing employee information along with address information, so you are sending to the DB, what should happen in this case? That employee, from that employee object, from with respect to Java point of view, again I'm telling you, Java object point of view, what will happen? What should happen in this case is, so that employee name salary should go to employee table. In the employee table level, only employee ID, employee name, and that salary or gender, whatever it is, that information should go. And similarly, address table point of view, information should be stored. Address point of view, address information, what it is, something like address ID, auto generated value given, but city, pin code, and country name you given, right? So that information should go to the address table. That is how, and you have to maintain somehow relationship between these two tables, like associated to like this. For example, if you see here, this, for example, if I remove this column, can you guess maintaining a relationship between these two tables is possible? No. That is one way you can do, or else assume like this. I removed this. This is one way, and assume I made like this. So this solution looks good. Now there is no relationship, and you can't measure which is a what, which address belongs to which employee. You can't say that because there is no mapping. Proper mapping is not there. So that's why you can't say that. Now see here what I'm doing. Here I maintained address ID. Understand the point. Here I maintained the address ID point of view. And here I given employee, sorry, address ID as 1. What will happen? So that means you are trying to say, like, for employee 555, address ID is 1. So then I am going to the address table, wherever employee ID address is 1, that belongs to Dilip. Yes, now this is also a valid solution. So that means what is the point you observed here? In the main table or that relationship table point of view, A and B point of view, you have to maintain a column, a joining column or a common column, a column which makes relationship between the two tables. Now in this case, I given employee ID 2, sorry, address ID 2. That means how can now, for example, if I given 888 value, what I you want to get address information, how will you get it in this current scenario? 888. Then you will go to the address ID column. What is the address ID 2? And you will take this address ID 2 value here and you will come back to this table. And yes, address ID 2 is existed. Then address ID 2 point of view, this is the record. So that means now this information you will get back in this case. So this information you are getting. So you got right information. But what happened in this case? The joining column, the common column you maintain this time at main table level. So you may maintain it side A level or side B level. It's up to your choice. But ultimately, what is the point you have to understand from this is you have to maintain a common column. Now this is first solution. And you may be when you maintain address level, employee IDs you have to maintain. When you maintain employee level, address IDs you have to maintain associated to that employee ID. So the way you are maintaining, that is all representing point of view. So let's see what's happening in this case. Yeah, now let's come back to the employee table. What I'm trying to say here it is, now I'm defining a relationship here. I'm defining a relationship here. See, again, I will take few more points on next class, guys. I know we are going beyond the time. At least something we will complete before leaving in another 5-10 minutes. Very clearly, we will see again on Monday also. Okay. Okay. Defining relation. How? What is the relationship we expected? Employee is making a relationship with what? Address table. So in JPA perspective, you know that you have to involve always entity classes to represent the tables. So now what I am doing in this case is I am mentioning my address table entity information. So what it is? My address class this is what is this address, guys? Entity class name. Entity class of address table. Entity class of address table. So you mentioned at this same time what relationship? So in this case, employee maintaining relationship with address. And as part of our requirement, we have to maintain only one-to-one relationship because one employee should allow only one address object, not more than that. Okay. So one-to-one relationship you have to maintain. So that's why in this case, you have to maintain one annotation called as one-to-one annotation. See, one-to-one annotation. What it is trying to say, specifies a single association to another entity. That means another entity means in this case employee versus address point of view. Has one-to-one multiplicity. It's not normally necessary to specify associated target or whatever it is. Finally, some description they given, but we will try to understand. One-to-one. So this is the information I given here. Now let's try to. So what I did, guys, in the employee level, I am defining a relationship like one-to-one. For that, what I did, I taken entity classes of address table because I want to make relationship with address table only from the employee table. So that's why I take an address reference here. Okay, I take an address variable here, instance variable, and I marked with at the rate one-to-one. And I marked with at the rate one-to-one. So that means in this case, what happened? Your employee class became a composite class. So composite means now in employee object you can keep address object also. Why? Because you have a variable, right? So now your employee became a composite object. Employee is a composite object, nothing but you can inside the employee you are going to keep address information also. Address object. Why? Because it's a variable, right? It's a variable overall in Java perspective it is a variable. So that means one object okay, address object is composited inside the employee object. So now let's make the DB operation class employee operations, something, whatever it is. Okay, I just maintained a different package, that's all. And then I'll maintain it as a component class. You know this story again. And I'll maintain what? Auto void of, in this case, employee repository. So understand the point now. Add employee details. Add employee details like public void add employee. Okay. See here. First, I'm preparing address employee details. Address details. So address, my address, I'll give new address ID, city, pin code, country, right? Yeah. So you know that address ID you given as a generated value. So if you observe here, you given as a generated value. So that automatically address ID values are generated. You don't need to pass. Just pass only city and pin code as well as other details. So address dot set address ID is auto generated. City value I'll give like Hyderabad, and address dot set pin code something I'll give like 572, and as well as address dot set country India I'll give. Okay, so this is the address information. Now when it comes to employee object point of view, employee information, emp equal to new employee. So now with respect to employee, also we given a auto generated value employee ID. So that's why we no need to give employee ID, because auto generated we given sequence, it will automatically generate. But gender, okay, name I'll take Dilip, and employee dot set gender, I'll take gender something like male, and here I'm passing address object. See what I'm doing, set address of what address object I am passing, this address object. So that address object, whatever you created here, that address object you passed here. That address object you passed here. So why it's, and now employee is a composite object, right? So employee internally taking address also. So now what you're doing is, whatever the address object you prepared here, okay, the same address object you passed here. Okay, setting address object in this case. Now see the thing here it is, I'm calling employee repository dot save method and I'm passing employee object. I'm passing employee object. So I'm making only one employee call, guys. If you observe here in this case, what I'm trying to do here it is, I'm making only save of employee. But internally employee is the object, right? Internally employee contains along with employee information address object also. So that means what happened in this case? You given Dilip name and as male point of view given, and in address also you given HYD something like some pin code number, and as well as some country like India you given. So now overall this is EMP, but as a composite object point of view internally it contains what? Address also. So that means in a single employee object point of view you have all the information. But our agenda is what? This information should go to employee table. So what is our point? This information should go to employee table. Which one? So you have two tables. One is employee table and one is address table. So now in our case, Dilip value should go to employee table level. I mean, this gender value also should go to employee table. And similarly, address, this information should go to address table. This should information should go to address table. But you are passing only one object. So these things, this segregation of this data also internally JPA is going to take care, guys. You are making only one save operation. If you observe or not, on the employee repository, on the main table repository point of view, you are passing employee, but internally employee contains address also. You made like that. We made like that. So inside employee, we are keeping address, and you are calling the save of employee. Then what internally JPA will understand is, okay, immediately it will go to the employee class. It will understand, okay, this time this guy having a one-to-one relationship to the address table, like that it will understand by seeing this annotation. And what it will do is, first it will start inserting data into address table. Understand the point. First it will start putting data into address table. So what is the information you passed in the address, like something like Hyderabad or whatever it is, right? That Hyderabad, that pin code value, and that India is inserted along with some order. Okay, anyway. So address ID also you given some identity column, right? One like that it will generate. And then once the record is inserted into address table, then one more insert query is executed with respect to employee table. With respect to employee table. Why? In the child table, the record insertion is completed successfully, and then employee table point of view. So employee ID will be generated, and Dilip and that male, like that, a record is inserted, and this record address point of view, whatever address of, okay, record is inserted, and whatever the employee record is inserted, these two will have a relationship. Like that, this entire relationship management is going to taken care by the JPA internally. So I'll try to do you that, if, and we will see more explanation again on Monday also. But at least practice until this. If I mean, I don't, let's first of all execute it. Container dot get bean of employee operations, right? See, employee, add employee. You are making save of employee, but see, two insert records will be executed, guys. You are making only one save call with respect to employee, but internally, this information will go to employee table, and this information will go to address table. How it is going means, because you passing what employee. So with respect to employee, internally you mentioned one-to-one relationship. Then JPA understand, okay, based on this relationship, that address information passed to this address table, and your name and gender value is passed here like that. So it is happening or not, let's see. Or any surprises comes, we will fix those things on the Monday. But I hope default things will happen. So yeah, now let's do one thing. I'll enable stop this. Tables are created now. So I know maybe actually we have to involve where it is. Yeah. So here we have to involve other few other columns also. So a few other annotations also, like cascade operations and joining column. Some things, few things will be there, cascade and as well as joining column. I'll discuss on Monday. But what is the default behavior? Just added this annotation. That is what my observation here it is. And see, tables got created. Refresh. Yeah. So employee detail is the table, and as well as address detail is the table. Still it is executing. So generally this will be called as joining column, guys. So this, whatever I said, right? Maybe you can maintain at main table level or left this table level, right? So this will be called as a joining column. This is that column only making relationship between these two tables, which record belongs to which table, like, I mean, which record belongs to which record of one table to another table. This column only is making the clarification. So this will be called as joining column generally. So earlier I added a AID, right? That joining column, or else at least this side joining column. It is called as joining column. And there is one more option called as cascade operations. What is cascade? This is also a terminology from the SQL only, guys. Okay, cascade SQL DB. So the cascade terminology, cascade functionalities also comes from the SQL and database only. So what you can do is maybe you can start go through what is a cascade on a high level this weekend. Monday I will use this option. What is cascade? I will also explain on a high level point of view what is a cascade, cascade operations and all. But generally this terminology is from the SQL and database point of view. And same thing we can use in the JPA perspective to achieve that cascade operations. Let's do one thing. Okay, so I'll just leave this as it is, and we'll see if any issues tomorrow. We'll see. Sometimes problems comes. I think cascade operation I have to do. That's all I have to do. See if you see here, yeah, good. I think this is not the problem. I'll explain that tomorrow. I'll leave it as it is. I'll keep here. So, but anyway, observe the exception, then we can see. Transient instances reference to an unsaved transient instance of something like that. So these are all terminology comes from the SQL. So what is this point of view and all we will try to see, or else you can do here one more thing. Cascade you have to enable, guys. That's all. So what is cascade? I will enable. I'll tell you cascade equal to all. I will take cascade equal to all. So what is cascade and all? I'll explain on that day. So just I added this one parameter, and let me try one more time. And this is a little bit complex topic also. Even at one point of time I used to feel a lot of difficult. Even sometimes I right now also we used to feel difficult in couple of scenarios with respect to different relationships point of view. It will take some time to understand, two times some time to implement sometimes. Okay, so it's not that much straightforward and easy. You should know what is cascade, you should know what is joining columns, foreign key relationships. So that means this concept is involving a lot of internal DB database concepts. I don't know why it is taking longer time. See, if it is not happened, we will see on Monday, guys, from there. Don't worry. If any exception comes, that's good for us to know something new point. See, why it is taking this much time, I'm not sure. I'll do one thing. I'll enable this property, then it will be quick. I know that. Just tables will be freshly created again. All the sequences and everything. Yeah, so see, that's what. See here now what happened? Insert into address, insert into employee. Two records inserted. One into employee level, one into employee level, one into address. See, first inserted into address, then employee. That's what I told you right now. So internally what it is going to do is this entire process it is going to do. So it will make first address into address level and then employee into employee level. But you made only one call. You made only one call. If you go to the DB, refresh it. See address, employee ID like this, and go to employee detail, refresh it. So if you see here, address underscore employee ID 1000, that's what we given. Gender male Dilip. If you observe here, joining column automatically JPA taken something like this. And this is address ID 1. This is address ID. This address ID 1, this address ID 1, the joining column automatically JPA created. We are not given anything. If you want to give our own joining column, we can give. That I will show you on Monday. And that this ID 1 is nothing but this one. So if you want again, disable this property now and then pass some other information. Employee operations, I'll use new employee joined from Bangalore and some pin code, some India, something like ABC, something like female. We will do other experiments on the Monday, guys. I will not continue now. Yeah, so see here. But at least my intention is why I'm taking 5 minutes extra is at least this weekend you will utilize to make some progress on this practice on this topic. So that at least by Monday you will have some overview once you are doing this little bit practice. Yeah, same thing. Internally, it will take auto generated values will happen. Address ID will become 2 for the ABC employee. Address ID will become 2 here, and the same with the same 2, one more record will be added into here. So address to that pin code Bangalore, India, like that, and in employee detail 2 comes here. Whatever the address ID value generated over there, that comes here. And then employee ID 1001, gender female ABC, something like that. One more record will be added here once that execution is complete. So this is how, and you have to test use cases also. Generally, cascade. Once I'm discussing the what is a cascade, I will discuss some use cases also. Not only insertion. When you are doing delete also, it will delete data from both the tables. If you are doing insert on one table right now by using employee repository dot save, but actually internally two insert queries are happening because of that relationship. Tomorrow when I'm making like delete of employee id, delete by employee id, then also it will delete, okay, records from both the table. It will delete employee table as well as from the address table. That is comes under the cascade. So what is cascade, we will see. Why this is taking this much longer time? Yeah, see here what happened. Again, insert into first address table, then employee table. If you go and verify, first address table point of view. So second record, oh sorry, yeah, second record address table, right? Now employee details point of view, go to the employee detail table and refresh it. So that address ID 1001 female ABC. This 2 ID is belongs to this one. So now the joining column generated on the employee table level. So if you want to generate on the address table also, you can do that, or we can create our own column name in case if you want. That is also I'll give you details tomorrow on Monday. So please practice at least until this and try to understand how your foreign key relationship is happening and all. Even if you see the entity relationship diagram from here, so you know ER diagrams, right? Again, it is SQL point of view. See, employee details is having a relationship with address details, foreign key relationship, foreign key relationship. If you want, I can show you from here also. Because I don't think the tables got created, right? I forgot to take backup. Okay, we will see on Monday also. But if you see here, foreign keys point of view, what happened? A foreign key is generated with employee detail table to address detail table. So foreign key is generated or not? So that is what the foreign key, that is what that relationships what we are making. So employee detail and address detail point of view, foreign key relationship is happened. So that's what I'm telling you. If you don't have proper SQL knowledge in this case, you can't understand these relationships. People who is having knowledge of this foreign keys, relationships, concepts in the SQL, they can understand very easily. Cascade all these things.